Oh, you need to talk to the Lord first. Alright, so when I first came on this property in September 2004, the first thing I fell in love with was this. And it was originally going to be the Heritage Grand Towers. And I tried no longer to call it the tower, even though most people refer to it as the tower. I try to call it the Refinement Center, because what Morningstar and Rick Joyner have designated it to be is it's called the Refinement Center. And it's going to be 215 sort of condo unit, high quality living, whatever they call it these days, living units of people that are wanting to not retire but refire themselves into active adult ministry. People that are 55 and up that have lived their lives and now they're at a place where they want to go up a notch higher and finish well with the Lord and take all the wisdom that He's given them and use that to pour into all the youth, the young people, the kids, and to have them involved in the schools and, you know, reading in classes and doing whatever, teaching. And that's really what the design of the building is, what it's for. And studying this and praying for it a lot, I used to come out regularly, just walk it. And now this is just my perspective, and you might not hear it from anyone else, but I really feel like this building was meant for that all along. I actually don't think it was meant to be a hotel. And what happened somehow, and again, this is just my sort of take, is that God didn't want this to become just a hotel or something that a Radisson would buy later, and and so somehow He preserved this sort of like a virgin bride or daughter, because He had the purpose of having the 215 people in there that are gonna really impact the kingdom in a high level. We want to put a prayer room up at the top 21st story. The first two floors were going to be the lobby, and there were going to be 19 floors, I think 502 rooms originally. And one of the things about the trial, the Jim Bakker trial, was he was pretty much accused of fraud for selling timeshare here. That for 3 nights and 4 days you can come stay at Heritage USA once a year for the rest of your life if you gave $1,000. That was sort of the first deal that got sort of the widespread coverage. And if you factored all the rooms of all the properties, they were able to provide like 55,000 rooms a year. And so what happened is they were charged with overselling the timeshare, because if you had 55,000 possibles, but you sold, I think they sold like 72,000. And so that they were charged with overselling the timeshare and frauding the people on the air. And so the fact of the matter is that everybody knows, and there was a book written about his trial and how a lot of the things have been misrepresented, but with timeshare, a lot of people don't use them. Right. There were a lot of people here I met that bought several memberships themselves. Some people had 7, they're just themselves because they wanted to stay here for like several weeks of the year. So there were a lot of things that went into that whole thing, and it's more complicated than it seems. But I feel like, this building has a divine destiny. When they built the property, they found a bedrock on it that was able to withstand the weight of this type of building. The builder was Roe Messner, and it ended up being all concrete slab on all floors and all walls. So it's so well built that it's fireproof, basically because it's concreted on every direction. One of the rooms on the corner, there was a fire, somebody had started in the room, and it only burnt that part of the corner of the room, and like the next person over would have never have known. And so that sort of, to me, makes it like a prime type of building for what they want to have it in as active adults. Right now, it's currently in litigation with the county. MorningStar has sued the York County the York County Council for interfering with the development plan that was put forward in 2006. And the development plan had like a 6-year timetable of events that once you started these certain milestones, the next one would start to play. And because PTL is such a high visible ministry, and there have been mistakes and things that happened, the county really scrutinized heavily that development plan. And so what happened around 2008 is, of course, the economy and the real estate and everything changed, and it was hard to get investment. Somewhere along the lines, the county started making comments like they didn't believe it was going to happen and things like that. And MorningStar felt like that was hurting their getting investors and people. And so anyway, that's pretty much the crux of the lawsuit. And it's still in litigation. Supposedly this year, the judge is going to make a ruling. If you follow all that, there's public record. The last thing I saw was that the judge is going to make a ruling on whether or not some evidence is something or other. They're in the discovery phase of the court case, which means that each party gets to see what the evidence the other side has, and then they, I guess, decide if they want to continue the case or if they want to make it a deal or whatnot. But that's pretty much where it is now. So, does anybody have any questions on it?
Yeah. What's this first floor with these tall windows? What is this?
Well, this was the lobby. If you walked in, there were going to be there's a staircase that's about 50 feet wide, a grand staircase, and it was going to be filled with sort of like the lobby of the Grand Hotel, just immaculate amenities and flowers. And there were also going to be on the second floor shops, and bowling alleys, and all kinds of art studios and restaurants, and just tons of development in the original plan. So, we've been praying. We're praying that, this is kind of a mystery thing, because some people say, well, it just should be taken down. You can build something cheaper than what you can do with it now, and all this kind of stuff. But, there's a lot of thoughts people have about it. I personally have my thoughts about it. I think that the important thing is the high ground of it, and when MorningStar designated having a prayer room on the top, what I felt, that is sort of when all hell broke loose, because originally they didn't have that sort of feature in the plan, but when they actually drew a picture of it, and to have people like you, people that are really activated and really looking to take ground and have really a warring ministry, to have them up on that high ground at 21 stories high, to me, the devil can't have that, cannot let that happen. And so, because when you're up there, and I've been on the roof a lot for several times, the higher you go, you have more boldness and faith, and when you're looking at Charlotte, you're just declaring things over Charlotte, whereas right now, we're not really thinking of Charlotte because it's so far away. But when you're up there, it's just like a plum. And when if Charlotte was the #2 banking place in America for the longest time, it's still way up there, I'm sure, with Bank of America, others. But, having a real active intercessory group of people every morning or every night praying over the banking, that is the warfare. That's what I've seen. And that's why the height of the building is a factor. Why, we could build a 3-story active adult over here for much cheaper and all that, but I think really what is at play is having that sort of prayer room area up there that high, because you're just declaring things over the county and the schools and the city and the nation, and that's just my take on that, and why there's been so much warfare on it.
the other side of the door, the brick, is the brick just kind of, the ties that were holding it?
What
came
happened
loose?
on the front side where it's the brick
Yeah.
piece, that was never finished. And so the brick, most of that brick was never even done. Yeah.
Oh.
And the front side had a crane. The crane that brought the slab up 21 stories. So
Yeah.
the room on the front that has no wall and it's just an open space was where the crane was attached.
Okay.
And so every time they put in like a temporary, just a thing, it doesn't stay. So there are some explanations of why some of the stuff is held or looks like it does, but it was so well built because it was bedrock, and I have some of the articles when they were discovering like how like amazing the foundation was in order to have the brick the way it was. But the Morningstar had an engineering firm come in early on and do a very costly evaluation of the building to make sure that they're going to do anything that it was sound. And they said that it was above grade. And I saw all the places where they would drill in and study, all the test things on every. And I saw the architectural study. It's like a thick thing. But anyway, the wrestling thing is there with the county now, and we want to be like good stewards of the community. We don't want to be at war with the officials, and they should, the county and I should be totally a partnership, body type of community thing. We should be, we're going to be a blessing with the tax revenues and things and the people that are coming.
Right.
But we want to figure out how to pray and intercede for it in a way that's not manipulative or rebellious. And that's been hard. It's been tough because there's a lot of spiritual warfare, and the people in the community see it, and they've seen it for 30 years, and they're tired, and they're like, when's it? Just take it down. They don't have the vision of what I just said. So. We don't. I mean, I don't roughly know the total, but I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 50 million. I'm not sure. I shouldn't